Welcome to Going In Blind. I'm your host, Zach Tidwell, and my guest today is professional dominatrix, Mistress Mia Payne. And to everyone at home, thank you for listening. Please take a second to help me grow the show so that I can keep delivering these conversations week after week for years to come. Subscribe, rate, and review the show in whatever podcasting app you're using right now, and check out the show notes to follow me on social media and YouTube as well. When you share your favorite episodes, tag me and use the hashtag GoingInBlind. You can also join my mailing list at zachtidwell.net. And if you know someone you think I should talk to, have them send me an email at contact.goinginblind@gmail.com. All right. So I warned you that I was going to jump right into this. I never know how to start these things. And this is one I've been thinking about. And I feel like we just kind of gotta go head on with it. So how the hell did you end up being a professional dominatrix?
It's a really boring story.
I find that hard
Unfortunately.
to believe. Yeah.
But yeah, so there's two parts of this. So I have always been a healer of some kind. Like I did body work. I'm an orthomolecular health practitioner. So I do like nutrition and food with people. I've done like energy healing and those kinds of things. So I've always been sort of interested in helping people, especially in healing and recovery. And then I experienced my first dynamic not as a professional, where I was actually the submissive. The relationship was not healthy and it did turn abusive. I wouldn't say that it was intentionally abusive. I think the person that I was with was just super inexperienced. Um,
Okay.
but that ended very quickly, and I learned so much from that about the benefits of being a submissive and receiving like impact play and that type of thing. And then I put it on a shelf for a little bit, and I owned I owned an art framing company business.
Was
I've done
that?
so many different things, yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
and so I was doing that, and a gentleman walked in. He was from overseas, and he basically said, "So, are you a dom?" And I was very taken aback because I was not in any way in that conversation.
And he was like,
And I
"Will
said,
you kick me in the
"Yeah."
nuts?" Like,
Well, not exactly, but sort of. So I said, "No, I'm not." And he said, "I just really feel like you make a great dom, and I would like to pay you to do that for me." And he was very experienced as both a switch and a dom. And overseas, he had done like a lot of tours of like training and demos. And so he kind of helped me learn the ropes as he was also being a submissive. And after about 4 months, I was, it's like a natural. So
this is like
I
an
just sort of,
inverse 50 Shades
yeah,
of
it was
Grey
like
thing.
strange. Yeah, it was
What?
different, but it brought me in, and I got to learn some new things. And then from there, I did a lot of my own education and took on more clients, and it just became, for the first little while, it was more just for the fun and the money, right? But then I really started to see the benefits of it and started to really dig deep into what the bigger meaning is behind, you know, the energy exchange part of it. And I don't know, it just the last 3, 4 years, my practice has been only focused on self-development work.
Okay. I have about 12 million questions, and that
All
is
right.
exactly why I wanted to jump right into it because
It
this
was great.
always happens. So I think at first you were mentioning like the other healing practices that you had done. So
Mhm.
you were trained in other, like I've never even heard of molecular
Yeah.
stuff before, but
I know, it's such a long word.
it
Yeah.
is. But so you've always kind of meandered down these different paths of like helping other people.
Yes, and pretty much every job I've ever done or any business I've had has been focused on helping in some way, customer service, or I taught developmentally disabled adults. I created and taught an entire culinary program. And I love helping people. I love being of service to them. And being a professional dominatrix is a service job. Even though it looks like the opposite, because I'm getting all the things done for me, it's actually in service to them.
That sounds like some mental jujitsu, and I know I'm not saying that. I'm like at face value, like you
Yeah.
hear that and people are probably like, "What?" And even so, before we had started communicating for you to come on here, I had never heard of the therapeutic BDSM stuff, and I've
Mhm.
read about it after in preparing for having you on, and so even for you, had I not looked into that, you saying this is a healing like service to others, I'm like, yeah, I get it's a service because people are paying for it, but I've
Mhm.
never, I guess, heard it be referenced in that capacity, and that's
Mhm.
interesting. And so I'm trying to
So
figure out which question I want to go to here.
can
Off
I
what-
actually interject? Do you mind if I
yes,
just
go
interject?
for it.
So if you think about it, like, I like to always use the parallel of massage. Like 15, 20 years ago, it massage when you go to get a massage, it was sort of an assumed that it would be like a particular kind of massage with a happy ending, right? So if
Oh,
your husband said to you, "Hey, I'm gonna go and have a massage," you were like offended. But if now when a husband is like, "Hey, I have an appointment with Allie down at the XYZ massage place," the wife is like, he's going to somebody who is certified, they've been trained, they're not doing anything inappropriate behind closed doors. I'm fine with that because it's helping his body, it's helping his mental state. And
yeah.
that is the exact same parallel as what's happening now. So BDSM has always been around. There's always been healing components to it, just like there was healing components in a happy ending massage. It still felt good to the body. It still did good things. Like even when your shoulders are being rubbed, it doesn't matter who's doing it. It still feels good. But now it's changing because we are understanding the human body and how it responds to different stimuli and what the sort of neurochemical part of it is and how it affects the fascia. So our bodies have a web of fascia. And I don't know if you ever get like massages or chiropractic care? Do you do any of that for yourself?
I like massages. I need to do it more because I destroy my body, but I always like I forget to do it. But yeah, I'm open to that. And I enjoy them. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever had a massage where it kinda, like, maybe kinda made you feel a little bit emotional, um, where it just felt good, but in a weirdly intangible way, like, the body felt good, but, like, it touched something really comforting or really, um, deep in you? Did you ever experience that?
I would say on the relaxation front, where like you just kind of leave, and then even like as coming out of it, you're almost on like a high, like a
Yes,
endorphin
exactly.
rush kind of. Yeah.
Exactly, beautiful. So, that's sort of what happens. So, I do both chiropractic care and massage when I can, and I have cried on everybody's table because because it's just like there's a thing that happens, it's a release that happens, like, and it's your fascia that has held on to unresolved trauma and emotions. It kind of gets stored in that part of our body. So when we're manipulating it or affecting it in some way, it can bring that stuff to the surface. And in a safe place, bringing that stuff up is a great way to get rid of the burden of it, right? And so what I do is affect the fascia, but in a different way. So I'm taking a different route to the same result.
Yeah, and that it makes sense. Like, it's I would think, and even like for me, before looking into it and really thinking about it, like at face value, when I saw, I think it was a Facebook post that you had put out saying what you do, and I was like, okay, this is sex work. How is she putting it on Facebook that she's like, I immediately went
Sure.
to it is there's sex happening on top. Like someone's getting kicked in the nuts
Mm.
and they're having sex. But
Yeah.
I'm
So,
oversimplifying, but yeah.
well, that's okay because it is a misnomer, right? So
Yeah.
I never have any sexual exchanges with my clients ever. And if they sort of ask me for it or hint to it, the session is ended. They are kicked out immediately and they're blacklisted. What I do is unfortunately still under the umbrella of sex work because they don't know where to put it. I think it fits better in body work or alternative healing, but that's the only place I know where to put it because there are people who do offer sex work as part of this work that I do, but it's very different. So just like there's happy ending massage parlors and then there's a massage therapist, they're very different, but they're doing similar things. The same is true of what I do.
And that makes sense. And that's where I was going with that is like, I think that's probably where, like I'm not the only one with that, where you see that and you're like, okay, this is immediately there's
Yeah.
what kind of gray area is this? And
Yep.
that's why it was so interesting. And I was so excited to talk to you about it because it's so foreign to me. And also I'm like, when I was reading about the therapeutic side of it, like you guys actually partner with clinicians to handle counseling
Mhm.
and guiding people through this, correct? So
Yes.
are you getting a lot of people with sexual trauma? I would imagine that's common.
So the therapeutic BDSM collaborative network, which is what you're talking about, it's a new program where therapists come in, they're educated in what kink is, what the benefits are, and pro doms or doms female or male come in, they're trained in, how to work with emotion and grounding and then together the client comes and they explain what they're trying to process. And the BDSM practitioner can help them design a program or an experience to help bring that to the surface. And then provide comfort and care in this session while referring the information that came forward to the therapist to actually do the therapy part of it. But I will tell you that in my personal practice, like separate from the BDSM Collaborative Network, there have been several people who came to me having either had sexual trauma or some kind of physical trauma, because again, that stuff is stored in our body. And for some people, talk therapy is very effective, and I strongly recommend everybody try talk therapy. But I know that for myself, there were some things that were traumatic that I experienced that talking about it really just made it a lot. I kind of just rationalized it and kind of made it a logical experience and wasn't able to feel the emotion of it. And only through experiencing different sensations with my body was I able to actually release and experience the emotion part of it.
And that's interesting because, like I do talk therapy. I have basically since
Mhm.
I was taken off of life support after I shot myself. And
Mhm.
that works for me, but this is kind of and if you abstract this to the mainstream mental health modalities, this is, there's different strokes for different folks. We have all of these
Mhm.
different, the different methodologies, and you have
Yep.
CBT, and then like
Yep.
with you discussing the physical sensations, you have EMDR, they do that rapid
Correct.
eye movement stuff. And so it
Mhm.
does it.
Somatic stuff. Yep, all of that.
Yeah.
And when all of those things came to the market, so to speak, they were ridiculed and kind of given the side eye, right? Like, that's not real therapy. That's not real, like, work on this on themselves. But then after some time and with some patience, people saw the benefits. They saw it changing lives, they saw it helping people heal, and it became an accepted part of therapy. And that's, in time, what I do and what the collaborative network will do eventually will become more accepted. At least that's what I'm hoping.
I think it's these conversations getting out there, right? And it's part of that. People, I think, like speaking to that issue of, that's the side eye thing. That is always a lot of times people aren't open minded, and it's also the experts in a certain field, like wanting to
Hmm.
continue being the experts and not open
True.
up to other things. Like for like,
Yeah.
it's almost like a scarcity mentality in that sense of like, okay, well, if that opens up, then that's going to take away from my side of the business or my side of
Uh-huh.
this practice. And
Like, it might be more fun for them to go to see a dominatrix than to come and sit in a chair for an hour and talk about their problems, so I don't like the competition.
yeah, it's interesting because I've thought in any of these episodes I do, I think about them a lot beforehand
Mhm.
and do all my own research into it and stuff, but I hadn't thought of it like that. Like I was obviously, if I wasn't open to discussing this, I wouldn't have had you on the podcast. But like
Sure.
in terms of it being kind of fitting in that same, like this is another flavor of, especially if you do have the trained clinician there, like yes,
Mhm.
it is real therapy.
It can be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a component of therapy. I wouldn't ever recommend to somebody like quit therapy to go see a dominatrix, but I think it can be an addendum and a support to the work that you're already doing. Um, for me, I think one of the things I've noticed mostly is that when people come to me, they're wanting to challenge themselves. And when people say to me, why do they want pain? Like, why would they pay you X number of dollars to come and have you hurt them? Like, that
Yeah,
makes
I
no
have
sense,
I have a
right?
hard time understanding that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, and your experience in your body is different, right? So we all have different experiences in our body, but if you have some kind of a disability, your experience is different from the average person. And so your perspective on it is different because of it. But pain is really just sensation. And what I have learned in all of the many years that I've been doing this is that humans seek out challenging things. So when we say, why do people jump out of airplanes? Why do you eat hot chili peppers in a contest to the point where you vomit? Why are you running 10 million miles and then passing out? Like, why do we do that to our bodies? The question isn't, why are they paying you to hurt them? The question is, why is the human experience interested in pain, right? And the reason I think that one of the reasons anyway is that there's two things. One, it's cleansing. So after you have done this amazing feat with your body, you feel cleansed. You have let things go in the process of whatever that challenge is. And the second thing is that it really redefines how you see your own inner strength. So people come to me for something I like to call rite of passage work. And when they come to me for rite of passage work, they're basically saying, I feel stuck. My relationships are dull. I don't like my job and I'm afraid to ask for, some kind of accommodation to make it something I'd enjoy again. I just feel stuck. And so what we do is we say, what are you afraid of? What can I do to make you afraid, basically? And then how can I walk you through the fear to the other side so that you can understand just how freaking amazing you are, how powerful you are, how grounded you can be in the midst of chaos. Let me teach you how to do those skills so that you can feel empowered and then take those steps forward. And that's really one of my favorite things is to give them that opportunity to really test their limits and to then exceed them and to feel really powerful at the end.
Again, very it's interesting to me because like I intentionally do a lot of hard things because I like you said, I value that, and
Mhm.
specifically it's the in doing the hard thing you do grow and it makes other areas of life easier. And again, like
Mhm.
I wouldn't have thought of it that way. I think it's a
Mhm.
little, I guess I view it a little differently because it's a lot of the hard things that I like specific, like you use some physical examples, whether it, you know, pushing yourself to do something or go on a race or go get in the cold plunge or whatever
Yeah.
is there. It is subjecting yourself to it, which I guess you would be doing with this too, because you can stop whenever, but it's
Mhm.
just, yeah. So I get,
So, yes.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, so one of the things that I'm asked a lot is what is the difference between what you do and abuse, right? And the only difference
Consent.
is consent. And that in my space, consent and it has to be enthusiastic. So it's not like I mean, okay. That's never an okay. That's never a yes. It has to be a yes, ma'am, right? Like I want that. And if it's not that, then it's not a yes. And if it is an enthusiastic yes, and then 30 seconds into it, you change your mind, you can rescind that consent and everything will stop. The power is always in the part of the client. Although it may look from an outside perspective, like I'm the one in power because I'm telling them all the things that they have to do and how to do it, they ultimately control the scene. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
how it should
artificial.
be.
Yeah, like
It's
you're
not artificial, it is imagined.
I
So
think
it's
those are
very real.
synonymous there.
No, it's very real for the person who's experiencing it. So, it's like saying, um so imagination is very powerful, right? It gets us through
Mhm.
really difficult things, and it can be a facilitator for all kinds of expression, not only of what we're experiencing, but also our own healing journey. So, meditation, it's all imagination. Worship in a church service, it's imagination. All of that is participating in something in a certain mindset, and that mindset is imaginary. There is nothing tangible behind it, but it changes your experience as a human. So it's not artificial in the fact that artificial sounds to me like really shallow, where imaginary, something that you've conjured up to experience the depth of something, is not, to me, artificial. It's real to you in that moment.
Yeah, no, I meant it that way. I mean, we don't need to like argue semantics on stuff, but like, yeah, that's I meant it is a constructed dynamic.
Yeah, true.
But and it's interesting. I guess you I hear about or I say I hear about like, on podcasts and stuff like that, where everyone's it's like, the CEO is coming in and like he's used to just like running the show all the time. So he wants to
Mhm,
all of a sudden be out of control. And I'm curious on two
mhm.
things. Do you see a large imbalance in terms of males versus females coming through? And then is that another common, I guess, trend that people are coming in that are very successful and in positions of power at work and in their professional lives, and they just need a way to let loose?
So, in my practice, sometimes the people who are very powerful, very brainy, kind of working, they need to come into a space where they can quiet their mind and they can be appreciated. Because a lot of those roles are very thankless, right? And so they come to me, they kneel at my feet, I give them simple commands that they obey to the letter, and then they are rewarded. You've done a great job. I'm so proud of you. Excellent work, right? And so it's easy, easy. It's an easy A. And sometimes we need what they used to call a bird course because you just fly through it, right? You need a bird course sometimes just to relieve yourself of never quite being enough or never being seen for what you offer. It's just a quiet space. Most of the time, people who need that are not looking for like a heavy impact play. They're looking for just a service opportunity or a quiet companion opportunity. Um, and as far as the gender differential, the truth is that most of my clients are male, and that's partially because I'm a lesbian. So it allows them to feel safe if they're married because there will never be, for sure, any sex, right? Like, not only do I say that in
Oh,
all of the contracts, and I am very open about that on all of my websites, and every place I am says I am a zero sex, no way person. But
yeah.
also, if I'm working in tandem with their wife knows for sure that that's never gonna happen, and so they feel much safer.
Is that a common thing to have a wife or a significant other involved in this?
I would say probably about 30% of my clients. It's not the average, but it's definitely enough that it's noticeable, and with those situations, it's either one of 2 things. Either the wife is very vanilla, not interested in participating, but understands and wants to support their husband's participation, and that can look like them sending them off for a weekly visit to me. It can also look like them coming and joining in and watching a session. Um, it depends on the wife and their level of comfort. Um, and it can also be um, what I call husband training, where the husband, the husband who's wanting a submissive experience, um, and the wife who isn't interested in dominating him, but is very interested in him getting his act together in some areas. They can talk to me about that, and then I can work with them and train them.
That is just like that idea to me is hilarious. I don't know why. It just
It
That
struck you
sounds
funny.
so crazy. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of fun because let's say just something simple. Let's say the husband regularly forgets to take out the garbage on garbage day, right? And the wife is so tired of it sitting around and being stinky, right? So she says to me, I just really want him to remember the garbage every week. So in our exchanges, I will say to him, one of your tasks is this month you will not miss a single garbage day. Because if you do, the consequences are X, Y, and Z, right? So then it's his job to remember. And if he does not remember, the consequences are delivered. And it's just like training anything. There's consequences, good and bad. And if he gets it right for an entire month, then there's positive consequences. So it's funny, but it also makes a game because then the wife at home is watching him and can report back to me, and then we work together to it's like, "Oh, I was told that you didn't do this on this day." And so the husband kind of feels submissive even when we're not in session, which gives him a little extra benefit because he's like out in the world doing his, husbandly, fatherly things. But there's this undercurrent of a secret that he and his wife share.
It's like
And
a
that can be
playful
really, yeah, it can be really
yeah.
fun for them. Exactly.
Huh. That is just my mind is blown right now. But yeah, it is. And I again, at face value, I didn't like yeah, I thought it was I didn't see that as like, oh, this is kind of like a little dance that they're doing, and it is
Hmm.
fun for them. I was like, this is someone is literally sending their husband to get his ass beat for not
No.
doing something.
No, it's not like that. It's more
Uh,
fun than that.
yeah. So with the therapeutic network, did you start that?
I didn't. So
Okay.
Doc Yulinda did, and, she is, she's a therapist, so she's a doctorate in something. I don't remember exactly what kind of therapy, but she's a therapist and she has her doctorate, and she actually started the network because she saw the value in kink in, how it can benefit people therapeutically, but she wanted to do it in a way that would not only empower the professionals to do their job, but would also give the support to the client that a dominatrix really shouldn't do unless they are a therapist. So she wanted to make sure that there was an ethical division between who was doing what part of the supporting, right? So she created the network, and it's starting to grow. It's still only a few months old, but it's starting to grow. It's starting to get some traction, some notice from the therapy community, good and bad, which is totally fine because that's what we expected. And yeah, and so we've also begun the Kink Professional Standards Alliance, which is I'm a founding member. And what we're doing is we're setting the standard for ethics in the professional kink spaces. And basically, we're going to offer training to professionals to be able to do their job better, more ethically, and with like coming from a trauma informed position.
It's so fun. I'm picturing you still in your frame shop. Like,
Like,
you're
how
like,
did this go
"Step into
down?
the
Yeah.
yeah, follow me to the back room real quick. I got something to show you." And yeah, that's interesting. I didn't realize it was so I guess I assumed it was newer because it does sound
Yep.
like a
Out there a little bit.
yeah,
Yep.
but I mean, it's in its infancy right now.
Correct. Yep. Which is
How
exciting.
yeah, how'd you meet her?
Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. So I made a connection on FetLife. Do you know what FetLife is?
No.
So it's like Facebook for kinky people.
Okay.
And it is very sex like open. So like don't go there thinking that it's going to be work safe or child safe. It's definitely adult only. But it's a great place for kinky people to meet one another. And in your profile, you can say whether you offer sex or not. And anyway, I had met another therapist who actually uses BDSM in her therapy practice. And she and I kind of made a connection and we started talking, and it became a really great connection. And then in one of her sort of photos on FetLife, there was a book and it was called Therapeutic BDSM. by Dr. Linda. And I was like, "This is very interesting." So I Googled it and I was like, "Who is this person?" And I looked her up and then we clicked instantly and I joined the next cohort and went through the training and became certified so that I could participate in the collaborative network. And that's how I met her. And she's fantastic.
That's pretty nuts. Is she younger? I mean, like 30s,
Ooh.
40s?
Yeah, that I would say she's in her 30s or 40s.
Okay. I was just, yeah, that is so interesting. Like, I never would have known. I've never heard of any of this. And it's,
That's why I'm here.
yeah, I would, which makes sense. I mean, you said off air that you do, what was it, like 2 or 3 of these a week? I mean, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
I've been busy, but that's good because it means people are curious and asking questions and having uncomfortable conversations, which I think we need to have more of. All of the avoiding is
I
what
agree with
makes
that. Yeah.
lies and questions continue, right? So it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah. I talk about that a lot in the mental health space with, you know, obviously me having shot myself, that is part of
Mm,
that is my lane. And I talk about that a lot. Just, I feel like it is getting better, which in the mental health, I think most people would probably agree with that. Like very rarely do I ever get like a weird reaction to my story in the sense of like someone is negative about it. Obviously it is a tough thing to hear and people don't know how to react in that sense, but it's never like a negative thing. It's an I don't know what to say thing. Whereas
like,
with it,
how what? Yeah.
yeah, and I'm real blunt about it, so that probably doesn't help. But
Yeah.
like I
Well,
don't,
sometimes that's the best way. Like,
yeah,
it was a thing that it was a choice that you made, and it was a thing that happened, and you can't pussyfoot around it because it has changed your life. Like, it is a significant part of what your experience as a human has been, right? So and let's also talk this is a great opportunity to talk about, like, different bodies in kink. So, I do serve people who are disabled. I don't serve developmentally disabled people just because I'm unclear about consent with them. Um, but I have like I've worked with Paralympians. I've worked with various different kinds of mental health disorders. So people with panic disorders, certain phobias like claustrophobia, and I've worked with a lot of people who cut themselves or self-harm in some way. And one of the things that I find really kind of, hmm, I don't know, it's kind of an eye opener is that pain, when we have pain that is emotional, mental, psychological, it's very difficult to put a border around it and identify it sometimes, like, it's just there. It's like a blob of feeling that sits inside you, and it's just affecting you all the time. So I think that it's my opinion, as maybe uneducated as it may sound maybe because 'cause I'm not qualified, but I think that people who self-harm when they're feeling overwhelmed, it's about putting a border around a pain they can identify because then their brain you can only focus on one sensation at a time. So your brain goes, "Okay, we're looking at this pain that you've just created right now, and that's what I'm focusing on." And the person who it gets a bit of a mental break because that's a pain they know. They see it, they can identify it, and the other stuff that is overwhelming, they can't figure it out. It's just not present in their mind for a minute. And so I think that in some ways, when people come to me asking for pain, what they're asking for is relief. And for some people, it can be relief from that kind of um, an overarching pain that's inside them that they can't identify.
and it sounds like even on a couple fronts there, even outside of that, I think on the one hand, and I haven't thought about this a lot because I never dealt with self-harm and I never dealt with mental health stuff until I had a brain injury. And then that's kind of when I started spiraling towards on my downward spin. But like with that, like that sounds, I don't know how to express the way I'm feeling. So this is the way that I can. It's an outlet like for that, that, I guess the grief or the sadness or whatever they are feeling. But even you
Yeah.
said with people coming in and wanting the less intense sessions and almost like,
Mhm.
again, that's another thing, like in talk therapy, a lot of that is voicing, being heard, and then also being, getting objective feedback and some accountability from some
Mhm.
kind of an unbiased observer. And it sounds like that's kind of another parallel there, and people coming in and just wanting the more so like seems like the toned down version is kind of
Mhm.
another application of that, or at least
Yeah,
like a
and
parallel to it.
yes, and, like, other things that I do that don't involve any kind of pain play is, like, a lot of people really like roping to be, like I call it human crocheting. So you're, like you're, like, doing these fancy, like, designs all over their body, and it kind of wraps them up like a weighted blanket, and it can make them feel at peace, right? Um, some people like to be mummified, something else that I do offer, which is just it's the I like to use the black plastic wrap that's real thick, and they would put it, like, around a pallet,
Or a
and so you
dead
just
body.
yeah, no. And then you just, like, wrap them, right, really tightly from their neck to their ankles, basically, um,
Huh.
and so that they feel hugged and warm, and it's almost like a womb feeling, and then I just kind of lay them down on the couch or on my mat on the floor and let them rest and let them just maybe they'll be my footstool for a minute if they're into that or,
Yeah.
maybe they'll talk to me about how hard their week has been or, what's really happening. And that particular activity, the roping and the mummification, causes a lot of upheaval emotionally for people. There's a lot of tears involved in that. And the tears are coming from a place of like, I've been holding this in and getting rid of that energy by moving my arms and walking really quickly and talking really fast. And now I'm still. And now it's all coming to the surface. So yeah, I mean, everybody is different. Every body is different. And so yeah, it depends on the person what they need. But lots of ways that I interact that's not painful.
And again, similar to traditional therapy, it's like a judgment-free zone there. That is,
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, I've never heard of any of this stuff, but it is. I'm intrigued. It's interesting when you stop and think about it. And I hope, I would think with the spread of guests that I've had on, that the people who do listen to this podcast are pretty open minded. And if people have
Hmm.
made it this far, it's
You're doing
interesting.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks for sticking with us.
Yeah. You actually touched on a really key element, probably the linchpin, so to speak, in what I do, in the work I do, and that is shame. So this is a judgment-free zone, and within the parameters of my consent, so things that I will and will not do, there is no shame. So people can act like a dog or act like a baby, or they can cry, or you know, they can be very angry. They can do all of those things, and in this place, it's all okay. Because we're not here to show off for anybody or, like, I don't care that you ugly cry. I care that when you leave my space, you feel cleansed and stronger and ready for your next whatever you're facing, right? So all of it's good.
And I mean, it sound like the way that you talk about it, it sounds, all of it, it sounds like you're coming from a genuine place, and like this is fulfilling for you.
I love the metamorphosis part of things. Like that being a catalyst for somebody else's growth and coming out of something difficult or overcoming a challenge. It's for me, that is why I'm here. Like, that is the whole point of my life here. It doesn't necessarily have to be in BDSM. I mean, I do life coaching and all that stuff too, but for me, the BDSM is the fastest track to that end. And so yeah, I love it. I love to serve people and bring healing and help them to grow. Yeah.
And that's so I've been sitting here. I'm like, if this is too personal, I don't want. This is I've gone back and forth on like, okay, should I ask this or not? Because it popped into my head. Like, is this in your personal life? Are you into BDSM, or is this a totally just different thing that you happen now? Because I know you mentioned you were in a relationship where this, like, that was your first exposure.
Mhm. So I am personally interested in BDSM, excuse me, from my own experience. So
Okay.
I I am I never I'm a never sorry. I'm never a sub for anybody outside of my relationship, but my partner is my dom. So I will sub for my partner, and I enjoy receiving the release of a pain moment, right? Like I need to experience that from time to time because it quiets my mind. The endorphins that come from overcoming that challenge physically, it's a beautiful high, and I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never done drugs, I don't have illicit sex. I don't have an outlet sometimes for those tense feelings and for all of the things I'm juggling every day. Like, I'm a human, I'm a dominant, but I'm a human. And so
Yeah.
sometimes I need a little bit of oversight myself. And, she wasn't like, she was curious about the lifestyle, but she's never been in a dynamic with anybody before. So it took a long time for us to reach the point where there was enough trust for her to feel safe to be that for me because it's risky, right? And it took a little while, but now we've settled into something that works for us. So I'm not a switch because I won't switch. I will not sub for anybody else except for the person that I'm in love with and in a relationship with.
Like a trust thing?
It's a trust thing, but it's also an intimacy thing. So
Okay.
it's such an intimate act. And because I am dominant naturally, the act of submission requires a lot more choice and work for me. Like it's an effort to submit. And so I only want to do that with a person who's looking down on me with eyes of love.
That makes sense. And in terms of the outlet side of it, do you do other hard physical things?
Well,
I feel
I
like you're
mean,
like, "Yeah, I'm an ultra marathon runner."
yeah. No, actually, I'm not. I actually have, like, a hidden disability, and, I when I was 24, I went to sleep thinking I had a head cold and woke up with the room spinning like a centrifuge, like, that hard, and it didn't stop for 10 years, and so I was basically bedridden for 10 years. I lost 10 years of my life, and I have to be
Oh my
careful
gosh.
what I I have to be careful what I do, but that's why I became an orthomolecular health practitioner. Because every doctor, cute, you're like, "Oh, you're so cute and little," because 'cause I'm 5'2". They'd be like, "Oh, you're so sweet, and I just think you're doing too much." That was always the answer. "You'll be fine, dear." And they didn't I'm like, "You don't understand, I was so suicidal because, like, who wants to live in that? You can't even function, like, you
There's
can't
no
even
quality of
it's
life.
just non-zero. So, but studying the orthomolecular health practitioner program, I did the 3-year course in a year by holding the book in front of my eyeballs and moving the book because I couldn't move my eyes, and,
I would have loved to see that, like,
it was
now that
ridiculous.
you're on
It
the
was
other
so
side of it.
ridiculous. Yeah. But I graduated with first class honors and I healed myself by learning what my body needed. And I discovered through my training that I had all of the symptoms of mold exposure. So I moved away from the parsonage. My mother is a Methodist pastor. I moved away from the parsonage and moved to another state and left everything I owned behind except for what I could fit into plastic bags because I had to stay in like plastic bags for 4 months in order to not take spores with me. Like I just assumed
Jeez.
this to be true. I didn't have anything tested. And when I had moved away, I started to feel better. And my mother, um, I mean, it wasn't great. I was still not functioning, but I was feeling a little better. And my mom said, "Okay, honey, well, your dad and I are gonna be moving out of the parsonage for like 4 months." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "Oh, they discovered black toxic mold in our house." And I was like, "Mom, what wall was that in?" She was like, the wall your bed was next to." So,
You're getting a full dose straight to the face
yeah,
every night.
exactly. On a brain scan, it looks like I have MS. It's not progressive, but I have like little brain injury dots everywhere. And so I, for me, like I don't know, I just felt like I lost all of that time, right? And I
Yeah.
really wanted to experience life to the fullest. So I try to not kind of limit myself and be fearful of things because life is short.
Yeah. That is so I think everyone knows that black mold is toxic, but I didn't know. I mean, it sounds like it actually killed tiny parts of your brain.
I mean, yeah, I mean, the brain is it's elastic, right? It's always
Yeah.
you can heal so much of it. So, I've done a lot of work through meditation and that type of thing. But there are things that still would set me off, like if I'm super emotional for days and days on end and then I'm expected to be physically enduring something, that would put me over the edge. So it's just not something I do. So I keep my stress level to a certain amount, I keep my physical activity to a certain amount, and I'm good. So, yeah.
When you do overdo it, does it send you back into the spins again?
Yeah, but it doesn't last forever. But the
Okay.
problem is, for me, it's not even the spinny part. For me, it's the anxiety that comes with the spinny part because I'm like, "Oh my god, am I gonna do this for another 10 years?" Right? Like, it puts me right
Uh,
into that mental state. So that's the hardest part. So, having had a few of those episodes where this lasted for an hour or 5 minutes, whatever, I'm to the point now where I can talk myself through it and be like, "This is temporary. You're just doing too much, or you ate the wrong food or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
just chill out, it'll be fine." And so, I'm okay now, and I'm 98% better. Like, I have a bad day like everybody has a bad day. It's not like it doesn't affect how I get things done. But,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I
so that's
think
why I don't run marathons.
understandable. Yeah, I was just I was like that's a huge thing for me specific just I think a lot of people overlook this. I'm very fit. I take very good care of myself, and if because I'm so used to working out, I think I know I can feel it very heavily if I miss a day. Like, I was just in Italy for a week, so, like, I did some we're walking around a lot, and then I did some little hotel room workouts, but it's not like a real workout, like, I when I slay myself every day,
Okay.
and, like and I'm like, "Man, I kind of feel
Oh,
off, like, I don't feel good
yeah.
today," and I just that's why I was curious, like, you needing or getting the outlet from the BDSM stuff,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
what do your parents know what you do now for work?
Yes. So my father passed away, but I told my mother a couple of years ago what I was doing. Um and she's fully supportive. She understands what I do. She's very non-shamey about it. And then before I announced it on Facebook, which is the post that you saw, before I announced it on Facebook, my partner and I sat down with her mother. I talked to my children who are of age. I have one child who's not of age, and so it's still not in her world. But, I talked to everybody else, um, before I posted it on Facebook for the masses so that they weren't surprised. And
Okay, so did
nobody had anything negative to say.
so this you being public about it was just more recent.
About 6 months,
Okay.
and I just decided like, I had been hiding for so long. I'm like, I came out of the closet twice, and I was like
Twice?
yes. I came out when I was, like, 19, and I was with a missionary organization in Africa. I had a 14-month-old baby, and they kicked me out of the ministry, refused to fly me home, would not renew my work visa, so I was stuck in Africa with a 14-month-old baby.
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, so I went back in the closet, and then 20 years later, I came out for good. So I had to do that twice. And then, yeah, and so, for me, I was like, I'm here to do good, and this is a way that I'm doing good, and I will field any question. No question is too much, but I cannot live in shame. I can't tell people who come to me the shame is the thing that will kill every dream and every like thing that makes you you, and then also let that happen to me. So I was like, I'm done hiding. And I tell everybody, I tell my employers, I tell the people, like I just did a radio program in this little tiny town. So not the whole conservative little town is going to know on the 23rd. Like I'm done. I'm done hiding.
Yeah.
People need to know that this is there, that this is something that they can access. And I am, if you, I have like hair down to my butt. I have blue eyes. I have brown hair. I'm a 5'2" girl. I'm a little bit round. I am nothing like you would see in the movies as being like a tall, thin, buxom woman in leather, right? Like nobody would look at me and say, "Oh my God, she totally looks like a dominatrix." I look like, an artist or a mom. I look very approachable, and that's how I want it to be. So for me, I want people to be like, that is weird. Like, I couldn't imagine you doing that, but you do that, and now I'm curious, right? And so, yeah, so I'm out. I'm fully out.
Did you just try and tell me that you don't wear leather when you're actually working?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But, like, in public, people know me as, like,
Yeah.
the baker at such and such a place, right? Like,
Yeah.
they see me doing regular vanilla work, and I'm friendly and kind and thoughtful, and so they would never put those things together. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what the responses are at the end of the month.
And I almost mentioned that earlier. Just you, obviously I can't see you, but you sound
Mhm.
very sweet. And it's hard for me to picture you like switching into that mode. It's just
Yeah, but
it's
I
funny.
am I am very strict and very, um, no nonsense when I am helping somebody, right? So,
Mhm.
it's like I am just like everybody. We have multiple, like, dualities inside of us. It's the juxtaposition of those things that makes us human and makes us interesting people. And so, yeah, I'm not I am sweet. You would never know if we sat down and had coffee and this wasn't a part of our conversation. You would just think I was like a creative person and kind of cute and sweet. That's it. And and that's good. That's what I want people to be surprised. I want them to not be like, "Oh my god, that's what a dominatrix looks like." I want them to be like, "That's what a dominatrix looks like?" Like,
Yeah.
'cause it's just a service I provide.
Yeah. What was it? The fact that you came out while you were serving as a missionary in a foreign
Mhm,
country is
mhm.
insane to me. Just what triggered that?
Well, I mean, I knew that I was gay when I was, like, 13.
Mhm.
Um, I had so many crushes on girls, and then but I was in a fundamentalist, "You're going to hell if you're gay" kind of place, and my church was that way, my family was that way, and I just couldn't imagine losing everything I knew. So I just thought, I am going to get married young because I have to be a virgin when I get married. So I'm going to get married when I'm young. I'm going to have babies and be a good Christian girl, and then God will love me and life will be good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is not how it goes. That's the story we like to tell ourselves when we're afraid of being who we are. But what actually happened was I got married to somebody who had some pretty serious sexual dysfunction. And because we had never been together before that, um, I was already married to him. And then I had shared with him before. I hope you're sitting down because this is really crazy. But I had shared with him before I married him that I had had experiences with women and that I was attracted to women. And he said, "That's okay. I've had sex with cows, so we're even." And I was like,
Oh, what?
I was like,
Where was this dude
"Wait, what?"
from?
Pennsylvania.
Ah,
No. So I was like, okay. I mean, at the time, I was kind of like, "Oh, he forgives me, and he doesn't think he's better than me, so this is great." But the marriage lasted very little. Not only because sex was just weird to me, but also because I just couldn't be me. Like there was a woman on the team that I found really attractive, and I was just like really stressed out all the time. And then I just came out, and I was like, "I can't do this anymore." And he was like, "I know. I could see it happening. It's fine." So, it was a really hard lesson. It was chaotic and scary. I mean, we were there right after the change of government to help with racial integration in schools and to, work with racial tensions in churches. And, they sent me out into the white night. I'm very white, and my daughter is very white, and they just sent me out into a black area and were like, "Good luck with that." Like, and I was just like, I was shocked that people who said that they were Christian could do this. And honestly, I turned away from the church completely, and I was very angry with anything Christian for for a good couple decades. Now I'm more like, those are human errors, and I understand that. I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't believe in a God like we define God to be. My spirituality is different than that. Organized religion, I think, is really dangerous for the most part.
because of
But
people. Yeah,
because of
people fuck it
people,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they use it for their own benefit, right? But I admire and respect those who have that kind of a connection with, that which is greater than us. I support it. My mother, like I said, is Methodist pastor, and it's all good.
Yeah, that shocked me that you said she's supportive and everything, because I feel like you hear that a lot. Like I had someone on here who was raised as a Jehovah's Witness and left the church
Oh,
as
yeah.
a teenager, and like his whole family is kind of ousted. He
Mm,
still kind of has a relationship with his dad because his dad isn't like really into it. He just kind of goes through the motions kind of thing. But like everyone else, he's just, I mean, his
so
family's gone.
sad.
Like, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's typically the narrative that you hear with any sort of fundamentalist, just like
Mhm.
hard leaning religious environment. When someone
Yeah.
leaves, that is what
Like,
happens.
now you're persona non grata. Yeah.
Yeah.
The, well, and I have 3 mothers. So I have a birth mother who was a prostitute and a drug addict, and I was abducted when I was 4. Then I have a stepmother who did most of the raising until I was 16, and I got in an airplane and flew to Los Angeles from Buffalo, New York area. And, I trained with this theater company because they were like a theater missionary company, and so I trained with them and went on the road with them. So
That's a
then
mix.
yeah, and then my family disowned me for coming out, and so I had no family, I had no foundation, and I had known this couple, Diane and Jerry, for a lot of years. That by that point, she was a pastor, and so we did a lot of stuff at our church, and we just formed this really special bond. And I got, pregnant outside of wedlock and got married to that person who was in the army, and he was deployed, like, right after to Bosnia. So, we
Can I
were
Did you
yeah,
think you were bi at this point if you had another kid?
I was still in the closet from having gone through that. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I just thought I was finding the wrong guys. I was just like,
Okay.
"Okay, maybe I'll just try this one." And so
Yeah.
but anyway, so they adopted me when I was 24. They legally adopted me, and I became their child, like, by law. But and it's their love and, stability that has really, changed my life and been a catalyst for my own healing. And, I think that's part of the reason that I want to do so much to help other people, because I've experienced the change. Like, if they hadn't come into my life when they did, if I didn't have, the foundation that I have with them, I don't know that I would be the person I am today. And I'm really grateful to them.
That's really beautiful. I mean, just that's like, I mean, it made me smile when you were talking about that. That is just, it's so cool. And it's obviously you've been through a lot, but like, damn,
Mhm.
dude, I'm curious here because I realized as you were, it was when you were first talking about, I think yeah, it was when you were talking about first coming out, and then when you knew that you were gay. You know, I've got friends that are gay, but I've never asked someone this. And like, I have a friend who just recently, like within the past 6 months or so, like she had thought for a long time that she was bi, and then just like finally accepted. She's like, I really don't like the dude side of this bi thing. I think I'm just gay.
I'd like to
And
drop that part. Yeah.
yeah, but like for you, do you remember as a 13-year-old, like when like what it was? Because I wonder, there's got to be a lot of people out there who are even still as adults, just are still in that thought of, oh, I'm just not finding the right men or the right women. So, and I'm just not into the other sex because it's the people that I've met. Was there, and I'm
Yeah.
just, yeah.
There is, yeah. Well, and the compulsive heterosexuality is a real thing. So,
Mm,
I was that's just what you did, and there was really no option. It was a tiny little town I was in. All of them were Christian. It was very like sheltered and kind of bubble wrapped. Um, and so for me, when I was 13-ish, one of the neighborhood boys stole their father's Playboy, and it was the kind of
nice.
it was the kind of Playboy. It was um, like the older style pictures where it's more artistic and less vulgar.
Mhm.
And there was a picture of this woman kneeling, and she had long hair and her hands were in her lap, kind of covering her lower bits, but her breasts were showing. And he was looking at it underneath a bush. And I caught him in there. I was like, "What are you looking at?" And he showed me the picture. And I remember feeling this like visceral response, like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Uh,
And then I was like, "Okay, but girls are gorgeous. What are we gonna do?" Right? So it was like so for a long time, I was just like, I would say to my family at the time, I would say, "So and so is so pretty, like, I feel like I wanna, like, be close to her in a way that's, like, not just like a sleepover kinda way."
you'd like kind
And
of hint at it almost.
yeah, and I was just told, like, "You have a girl crush, that's normal, it'll go away, it's just you're just admiring her, it's just an admiration." And it took a lot of years before I realized that what I was experiencing was attraction, and not just in a girl-to-girl bonding kind of way. It was very confusing, and when I was very young, but as I got older, it became obviously clear, but even that, like, I knew, but I was like, "It will go away if I obey God and I marry a nice man who's going to, like, give me babies, and we're gonna pray together a lot."
We'll pray the gay away. Yeah.
Yeah. God will reward me with, like, not having to feel this sadness, and, I have been married, multiple times, and I I when I tell people, I'm like, "The reason was because I kept thinking that it can't be I can't be gay.
Yeah, because that's a
I'm a
problem in your
Christian."
head. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really just a mismatch, like, I'm just looking for the right guy, and for so long, it was, like, hard for people to understand how I could have been with, it sounds like I was sleeping around, but I wasn't, a handful of men, and not known by that point, and I'm like, you know, I think that we kind of have this opinion of lesbians that lesbians automatically hate men or they are repulsed by men, but that's not true for everybody. For me, I enjoy a man, like as far as like friends and hanging out and talking, and I like to whip their butts. Totally fine,
Yeah.
right? But I prefer women and I can only fall in love with women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's I I hope most people don't think of lesbians like in general as hating men. There are those lesbians out there that are like, yeah, we hate men or hate straight men, and I feel like that's usually because
Mhm.
they've from a at, to me that seems like that is a I've had horrible experiences with
Yeah.
men before I figured out I was gay, or I have chosen to be with women because I've had bad experiences with men, so now men are the enemy. Like they're but I would think that those people are like anything that's the loud minority, so I hope that
Yeah.
people aren't out there that that's not like the
The
assumption that they
going
have against
belief.
every.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But yeah, so that's a little bit about my personal self, and it all has led me to where I am now, which is that, you know, the body is the thing that we can use for our own healing. The sensations are important, that a power exchange happens in every experience we're ever in, and learning how to harness it intentionally can be really good for our minds and for our psychological like health and well-being, and I really value it a lot. And I'm excited that, you are brave enough to have me on your podcast to have this conversation because a lot of people shy away from the topic. So good on you.
oh, that's also part of the benefit of being my own boss with everything else that I do. Like I don't have to go to the office and then answer to someone for like, "Hey, why'd you have a dominatrix on your podcast that doesn't align with our corporation or whatever?" But I can
Yeah, that's
just
true.
be a free wild boy and
I love that.
follow what's interesting to me. But this is I really enjoyed this conversation. Like this was interesting. You're great at communicating all of this. It is. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my head around you getting into character and doing the work. Just hearing you sound so sweet, but it's
Mm.
what's. I mean, it sounds like you've got a lot that you're working on right now. But
Mhm.
what else is out there? Where can people find you?
Sure. Well, I'm on social media, so you can look me up at Mistress Mia Payne, and it's Payne. And then my self development dungeon is Pain with Purpose, again, Payne. So painwithpurpose.com. And on my website, there's a little box in the corner. So people can send me questions or ask to connect with me, and it goes directly to my phone. They aren't read by anybody else. It's private. So if anybody has questions or wants to make a comment or, whatever, I'm available.
Awesome. And you said something there at the very end that I'd like to impart on people. Just for food for thought. You mentioned doing it was something to the effect of, exploring this with intention. And I think
Mhm.
that idea of intention and intent and being doing things with a purpose and with deliberately and with a presence of mind and anything in life is I think a lot of people are missing that, and would notice an improvement in a lot of areas if they started carrying that over to other places. So that,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you again for all this, for communicating it. I
Of course.
hope
My
people will
pleasure.
come and check you out, or you get some other podcast spots from this. But
Yeah,
yeah.
and if you're ever in, Ontario and you wanna experience it, I invite you to come for a free session.
Okay. I'll find a cup and I'll come up.
No, just find cup. You just say, like, "That's a no for you, that's fine."
Uh, yeah,
But
it
yeah,
might not be my flavor of the therapy, but
totally fine. But you're invited, you never know.
all right.
But yeah, this was a wonderful conversation. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone at home for listening to another episode of Going In Blind. Please rate and review the show wherever you listen, and then share this around to the curious minds who need to hear it.